Chapter 9, Communicating in Small Groups. We are going to discuss what is a small group, functions of small groups, joining small groups, advantages and challenges of small group communication, and becoming a better small group communicator. A small group is about 3 to 20 people working interdependently to accomplish a task. Interdependently as in they're able to work separately while also working together to meet a common goal. Small groups share several characteristics. They are distinguished by their size, and that is having between 3 to 20 people. They are interdependent. So the systems theory, which is on page 235, tells us that interdependence is where each person in the group affects one another, and they also are able to work together for the same common goal. The groups are cohesive, and that's on page 236. So cohesion means that people are able to work together. So there's task cohesion, where you're working to complete a certain task or meet a certain goal. And then you have social cohesion, which refers to the level of positive regard group members have for one another. So how much respect they have for one another. Groups enforce rules, and they have norms. That one's on 237. Then we have individual roles, which is on 238. And it talks about formal roles and informal roles. So formal roles is where people are actually assigned to certain roles in a group in order to meet the common goal. And informal roles is where people don't actually have assigned roles, but they still are working to meet the same common goal. Groups have their own identities. So the example in the book on page 239 is the older women as part of the Red Hat Society. So any group you're part of will have its own identity. It might be a soccer team, it might be a chess club, it could be just anything that brings you together. They also have distinct communication practices. So that's on 239 to 240. And the first type, it says, is problem-solving communication, and it focuses on how people are able to solve problems and accomplish goals and tasks. Then we have role communication, and this relates to the formal and informal roles that people have. Then we have conscious-raising communication, and this gives us more insight into the group's identity and the morale and beliefs of the members. And then we have encounter communication, which describes the interpersonal interactions among group members. So how do they get along? How do they communicate with one another in order to accomplish these tasks? And so each of these groups have their own distinctive communication practices, and then some groups often will interact online. It could be through the phone, through email, Facebook. There are support groups online. There's various types of groups. Functions of small groups. Some small groups focus on discrete tasks. So it'll be a group that focuses on a particular task. They have an example of jury duty or the U.S. Senate Finance Committee. Small groups can focus on evaluation and advisement. So that could be a focus group or a president's cabinet. And usually feedback is required or requested during these groups. Small groups can also create art or ideas, and the example from the book is participating in a band or brainstorming. Groups can provide service and support, so that would be like a support group online for any maybe health condition you might be going through or that a family member maybe is going through. There's also groups that can provide material and emotional support, and some groups promote social networking. So maybe you're moving to a new place and you join one of the apps, I believe it's called Meetup, and that's where people can meet up and meet new people that share the same hobbies as them. Some small groups compete, so that could include sports teams, quiz teams, anybody that trains and rehearses together. It could be a competition team, a group that sings. Groups can also help us learn. It could be a workshop that helps us hone a particular skill. And research shows that taking part in learning groups enhances critical thinking skills. We join small groups because we need to belong. Humans are not meant to be alone. We seek out people to appreciate us and to accept us, and we want the same. We want to give the same in return. We have a desire for protection. You're more protected in a larger group. We want to improve our effectiveness and how we communicate and the messages we get across. And then sometimes we join groups because of pressure. So it could be peer pressure that causes us to join a particular group. There are 5 ways we are socialized into joining groups. So we have the antecedent phase, and that is before we actually join a group, and we already have beliefs or attitudes about a particular group before we join them. And we also have expectations. Then we have the anticipatory phase, and that's where we are deciding to join a group. We might be excited, we might be nervous. We still have judgments and beliefs about the group beforehand, so that could reflect on how nervous or excited we are. Then we have the encounter phase as the next phase, and that is when you actually meet the group, interact with them, you are face-to-face with them, and you get to see if you're able to accomplish the same tasks together. Then we have the assimilation phase, and that's where you're now able to become part of the group. It's not a you or I, it's a we thing. You basically interact as other people in the group would. And then we have the exit phase of the group, and that's the last phase. And that's where you basically have a phase of group socialization in which people leave a group. People might be dissatisfied with the group. They might no longer share the same beliefs. They may no longer be interested in the sport, but people go through the exit phase. There are advantages and challenges of small group communication. So small groups provide resources that could be material resources, emotional resources, financial resources, task resources. Small groups also experience synergy, and that's where people are able to work together to have a greater outcome. Groups will expose us to diversity, so you can be around other people and learn new things and new experiences. However, there are some issues with groups, with small groups and communication. So it requires sacrifices as far as your time, as far as your energy. And then some members might actually be social loafers. So it means that they're like contributing less to the group, maybe relying on other people to get things done and just sitting in the background but still taking credit for it. There might be conflict as far as attitudes and beliefs. And then there could also be difficult to coordinate as far as time management with work and school and things like that. Everyone can't always meet. Becoming a better small group communicator. So it is important to welcome new members, make them feel welcome, show them around, become socialized into your new group. So maybe you will assimilate into the new group, learn about them, make connections, network. When new members are added to the group, it is important to recruit people that are good for the group, that have the same morals and beliefs and work ethic that is similar to what you already have. Create a group orientation so people know exactly what is expected of the group and what their roles will be, and also introducing them to other people that are in the group. Include new members in activities, so make sure you individually invite them, and then be a mentor. Show them the ropes. When you are new to a group, it is important to embrace the group's culture. Remember that you are the new person and they already have a certain way of doing things, and it is your job to assimilate into that group. So learn the skills that are appropriate, learn what's important, and contribute to the group. So you don't want to be a social loafer that just benefits off of everyone else's work. You want the group to have a constructive environment where people are learning and able to make networking connections. And we want to build group cohesion where people are working together for the greater good.